The Boy Scouts of America will now allow transgender children who identify as boys to join. The new policy reverses a custom that dates back over a century and will take effect immediately. Joining us now to discuss is WSJ reporter Ian Lovett in Los Angeles. Hi, Ian. Thanks so much for being with us.
Hi, Tanya.
So, will this end the Boy Scouts' 100-year-old policy of using the gender listed on a child's birth certificate to determine eligibility?
That's right, Tanya. The Boy Scouts are one of the oldest and largest youth organizations in the country, and it's also, as the name suggests, boys only. So for more than 100 years now, the Scouts have used the gender listed on the birth certificate to determine who is eligible to join. But yesterday, the organization announced that the policy was going to change. They said the birth certificate was no longer feasible, and they would now go by the gender listed on the child's application, which means that it will be open to transgender kids who identify as boys, but whose birth certificates don't match that identity.
And so what explanation did the Boy Scouts Director of Communications give for this change in policy?
So the Scouts announced the new policy in a statement yesterday, which said that identifying the gender based on birth certificate had become more difficult because states across the country were adopting a number of policies that were moving away from that kind of standard. What they did not say was that they were making an effort to make sure that transgender kids were going to be included or to be more inclusive generally, but that is definitely the direction the organization has been going, both with regard to gay boys, openly gay boys, and now transgender boys as well.
Certainly, the Boy Scouts have long been a flashpoint for the larger battle over gay and transgender rights, and as you mentioned, the organization has gradually opened up. What are the other recent changes the Boy Scouts have made regarding gay members and troop members?
So the biggest fight, without question, was over whether to allow openly gay kids to join the organization. For a long time, there were all sorts of rules saying that if kids were openly gay, they couldn't participate in certain activities and they couldn't become Eagle Scouts, which is the highest rank and something that a lot of people in the Boy Scouts aspire to. There was a lot of public debate over that with LGBT activists and conservative groups, both very passionate about it. But in 2013, the organization voted to change the policy and let gay kids fully participate. And since then, they've moved pretty quickly to become generally more inclusive. In 2015, they voted to allow openly gay adults to be troop leaders, which had not been allowed until then. And then yesterday, they now allow transgender kids as well. So it's really been a pretty fast evolution since that first change in 2013.
Could yesterday's move be an extension of the controversy that exploded in New Jersey last year when an 8-year-old transgender boy was kicked out of his troop?
I think a lot of people are certainly seeing it that way. And in that case, it was the boy had joined the Cub Scouts and then just really a month later was kicked out because he was transgender. That got a lot of press at the time, a lot of national press, and there was a lot of lobbying on behalf of that kid and transgender kids in general. A lawyer I spoke to yesterday also said there was a lawsuit and that the Scouts have been increasingly receptive to just trying to change their policies when these lawsuits come up rather than going to court. So, in this case, they turned around pretty quickly, and it was only a couple months ago that happened, and now they've changed the policy.
But of course, Ian, as with many 100-year-old institutions, not everyone is happy about these changes. What are some conservative groups saying about all of this?
Yeah, conservative groups, of course, are not happy about this. And for a long time, the Boy Scouts were seen as a very conservative organization. A lot of troops are based out of churches. And so conservative groups are saying that this is copping to pressure from LGBT advocates, that it's being politically correct, and that it's kind of undermining the very identity of the Boy Scouts to begin with, which is about kind of fostering certain traits and skills for boys, and that by allowing in people who are not genetically boys, they're abandoning that mission.
All right. Ian Lovett, thank you so much for bringing us up to speed on the latest with the Boy Scouts. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Tanya.